Hello, hello, hello. I'm here again, but I've changed location because I need to be now downstairs because children are going to bed upstairs. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am joined, I think I'm going to go that way. Yes, I am, by the gorgeous Emma Johnson from Inner Smile. Hi, Emma, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Emma. Very well, thank you. Are you? You've done very well today. It's been awesome.
I'm getting there. You
Yeah.
want one more, and I'm getting there. So
Thank
it
you.
wasn't such a bad idea after all. You know, I started this morning going, oh, who thought of this? Who thought of this?
Mm.
But we're getting there. We're totally getting there. Come on in and say hi if you're around. It'd be lovely to see you joining us.
Hi.
Bridget says hello. Emma Pollard says hello. Judy says hi, ladies. Anne-Marie says hi. Hello, hello. Welcome in. Come on in and say hello if you're joining us. If you're watching the replay, you are equally as welcome. And it's totally lovely to see you. But come on in and say hi if you're around. And we're going to be talking to gorgeous Emma about what she does and how she helps and supports people on their journey to get beyond stuff that's holding them back, that's limiting them, that's kind of keeping them in the same old place, I think is a good way of describing it. And you are very passionate about helping people to live the life that they should live without being stuck, aren't you?
Yeah, totally. And it's because of what I kind of went through as a kid and growing up. And then I found something that helped me deal with that. And I just thought, I need to tell people about this, you know?
Yeah, and I think that, you know, when you find something that has helped and supported you, and it's, you know, something that you then want to go on and share with the world, and I think we've had that message a few times today, that is just something that is truly awesome, isn't it? Because it's like, I know this and I know that this can help you, and I just want to tell you all about it.
That's it. And there's a really big theme that I noticed in the ones that I was able to watch today as well. And in talking with, you know, all the lovely ladies that we both know, sometimes you don't know how you know it, you just know it. And it's like I came across tapping and it was like, oh, I get it now. Like this is what I was meant to do, and this is how it's all going to shift, and this is how I'm going to change the stuff that's been bothering me for like 30 odd years, you know?
So when did
Incredible.
you come across EFT? So officially, it's EFT.
About 4 years ago, I think, in its entirety. So I think probably about, God, when would I have been? A good sort of 15, 16 years ago, I started getting interested in holistic therapies. And I think reflexology was my first thing. And I had a reflexology session and fell asleep and just thought, this is the thing for me. And it was great. And it went from there. So I trained in reflexology and massage and Indian head massage and all that good stuff. And whilst it's great, there was still something with me that wasn't shifting. And I can't remember exactly how I came across it, but I came across Nick Ortner, and it was to do with his charity for veterans and using using tapping for PTSD. And oh, that was part of the early journey of it anyway, and that really cemented it for me. And I thought, Jesus, if this can help somebody who has literally seen atrocities like that, do you know what I mean? And it can lift, it's got to be powerful. Prior to that, I'd maybe seen a few seminars and things like that and just started reading about it cautiously. And then, like 3 years ago, I went on my training course and I was just like, ah. And it just instant, absolutely. This is what it was the weirdest feeling. It was like a coming home. It was like a recognizing straight away that this was what I'm here to do, and this is something that because I've never felt good at anything. You know, it's not pity party, but I've been one of them kind of jack of all trades. You know what I mean? I've dabbled in a lot of things, and I've never really felt accomplished at anything. And then as soon as I started doing this, I was like, that's so cool, and it's so quick and it's so easy. I was like, shifted a lot of stuff in about, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks, and then from there just went on and did a couple more courses and just fell completely head over heels with it.
So were you a user first?
Oh yeah, I was a big user. I got addicted, man, completely addicted. And then I just thought, why am I just like doing this on myself? This is incredible. And I started looking at practitioner training and stuff. And I actually went a bit arse about face. I did the master practitioner first and then went and did the rest that they say you build up to. Because there's two main schools, or there used to be the AMT and the AAMT. and I studied with the AMT, which is now the Guild of Energists, which is Sylvia Hartman, which is, some say, the little more woo-woo energy universal side of it, rather than the AAMT, who are the ones who go, you've got to get your credits for, you know, for your blah blah. So yeah, it was an interesting journey, and I'm still studying. I'm doing another one now on different methodologies of using it, and you know, for stuff like that. So constant learner.
I love that. I love that. So give me a bit of a rundown as to, you know, what sort of thing is EFT fabulous for?
Okay, so I'd like to kind of think of it like this. I draw on personal experience and the experience that sort of people have, you know, reflected back to me. The first one is in the real time, so with immediate things that are making you clench there and then. So whether that be with anxiety, anger, upset, frustration, I don't know, whatever other immediate emotion you could name. When it's happening now in the real time, like, I don't know, road rage or trolley rage or panic before an interview or panic before a date or something like that, where you just feel that surge of, you know, when you clench and then you feel that huge rush of adrenaline. I get it in my wrists. I feel adrenaline in my wrists, like rushing through my wrists and stuff. And then I start to feel a bit sick, and then I get sweaty, and it's not very nice. Then I start, you know, getting all shiny, and it's just not good. So you can do it there and then in the real time. And then the other way that it really works well is if you've got things that, so say like your story, things that have been going around in your head for a long time, and whenever you think about it, it triggers you. So whether it's a memory or visual memory, like, I don't know, or something you said, or, so yeah, in the real time and working backwards as well. But I think anxiety is a really good one that it works for, because it's so calming, and the way that it works is itself taking down that clenched moment into a really kind of peaceful lull. And I've had people say, in fact, only yesterday, I think a lady said that she was like a 10 out of 10 on anxiety, and she did my little intro to tapping thing that I reposted, and like it dropped through the floor to a 1 within about 90 seconds. I mean,
phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want a bit of that? You know, when you literally just want to kill someone, or not, maybe not kill somebody, but you want to like swear really violently or something like that. And it's just, yeah, it's really good for that.
So when when you kind of discovered it for the first time and you started to delve a little bit into it, was that kind of your wish to learn more holistic therapies, or was it, you know, I've heard about tapping and it's this, that, and the other?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of both, really. I've always been on the lookout for new holistic therapies, and part of me always wants to be a bit different. So I was kind of like, you know, what can I do that's a bit different, kind of thing. But I was not prepared for what I found. So it's careful what you wish for, kind of thing. It started out as kind of curiosity, as what can I do, and then, but more so from the angle of doing it from a personal level first. And then I kind of actually, it hit me one day. I just thought, why am I not doing this? You know, why? Because I didn't know much when I started doing it for personal stuff. Didn't really know much about the scope of, you know, were there any practitioners in the UK? I just figured it was an American thing. And then I realised, actually, well, let's get into it.
So as you started that journey, was Inner Smile already born at that point, or was that part of the journey of you bringing together Inner Smile that married it in?
Yeah. So Inner Smile has actually been alive, although in the background gestating, for probably about 9 years. 9 or 10 years ago, I started training as a coach with New Insights, which is now a South African company. But they're really, really good, and they take all sorts. They don't just use one methodology. It integrates a lot of things. And living where I now live again, at that time, it wasn't the right kind of place for that. Like, people didn't want to spend their disposable income on that kind of thing, and it just didn't take off for one reason or another. But it was always in the background, and I had called it Inner Smile at that point. And then, you know, it kind of was wishy-washy, and I didn't really know what I was doing with it. And I just kind of put it on the back burner while we went and ran pubs and did various other things. And then I came across EFT, and I was like, yeah, that's what it needs to be about now, mainly. I do use coaching, you know, in when I talk to people and work with people, because it marries in so well, because you use the coaching to kind of get to where you need to be to ask the right questions. And then once you hone in on what I call the root cause analysis of it, which is from my corporate side of things,
Yeah.
then I can go bam, and we can get rid of the negative energy. And then I'd watch them go all fluffy, and it's great. So you do all the talky stuff, and then you blitz them, and it works really well together. So
I like that. We do all the talky stuff, and then I blitz them.
yeah,
And
just like that.
so when you are using EFT as a modality, can you get it wrong?
Not really. Sometimes you struggle to get something. Well, the only time you will struggle to get rid of something that's bothering you is if you're not focusing on the right thing. But that's not getting it wrong. That's just not necessarily realizing what the root is. And there are ways that I've trained, which is a bit different, which helps you to get to that level. So when we would talk about the different energy bodies, and we start at the outside, and we talk about chakras and things like that, and the different layers of the energy body, my questioning technique starts at the outside level, because that's where disturbances start, and they work their way inwards through the energy body. And if you don't deal with them, then they manifest in a physical way. And so I don't know if you can hear me. Your picture's gone frozen. Can you still hear me? Don't know if anybody can still hear me. Is there anybody there? Oh no. Don't do this again. Right, you can still hear me. Cool. All right, so I will just keep on talking until somebody tells me different. So the way that I do EFT is that I start on the outside of the energy body. Thanks, guys.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, I think everybody can hear me, and I think, are you back, Em?
I think.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Woo.
Cool.
So the way that I learned it is that disturbances in the energy bodies start in the outside layer, the etheric layer, which equates to like the spiritual side of you, or the what's the word I'm looking for here? The judgment side of you. Okay. When it starts on the inside and the outside, sorry, and then it will work its way inside. And if you don't deal with it through those layers, it will manifest in a physical way. So it can make you ill. We all know that negative emotions can make you ill. And so that's how I deal with it. Take it from the outside in.
So is there kind of a layered approach to EFT, or do you just go for it, get to the root, sort it straight out, rather than do you peel back, or do you go right into the...
Yeah, well, it's a bit of both, because my questioning will allow me to get right in there. But what I don't generally tend to teach people, like in my group, what I say to the ladies is, or even on my page, if you're learning it for the very first time, go with the prevailing emotion, right? So if we were working together now and you said to me, I am just so frustrated, but I feel a bit, upset as well, and I feel a bit anxious, I would say to you, what is the prevailing emotion? And if it's frustration, then we start there. Because what often happens is you start with frustration. What is the prevailing emotion isn't necessarily always the core of it. And once you zap frustration, the actual real thing might come out. And I would hazard a guess, a lot of the times it's the big four, like guilt, anger, frustration, and resentment. So one of those usually comes out, or whatever it is, whatever combination it is. But yeah, we just start somewhere. It's a very organic process. And you start where you are, which is great, because then that's what I mean about you can't get it wrong as long as you focus on the feelings. So the questioning that I take people through is, what's your prevailing emotion? Where is it manifesting in your body? What does it feel like? I.e., and describe it if you can. So I'm so angry, I feel like I've got a sludgy black pit of tar in my stomach, right? And because when you do that, and it's however it comes up for you, it's totally subjective, but when you do that, the more specific you get, the quicker we'll clear it. And the reason that works is because you're evoking an image, right? And the way we get emotions and feelings from the images that we see, which is why memories re-trigger us, because we're seeing it again in our mind's eye. That's why the cinema technique works really well, where you picture yourself, in a black and white movie, and then you minimize it and all that good stuff. But yeah, so we just start where you are, and as long as you focus on those feelings, you can't get it wrong.
So tell me about that cinema technique that you've just said there. What's that all about?
It's a very useful technique for negative and positive, really, because you can use it for driving performance as well. So what you do is you imagine, like, you visualize the situation, whatever it is, if it's a negative one, up on a cinema screen in front of you, and you're running. Sorry, excuse the dog. And you're running through it in your mind, and you're watching it all play out, but you make sure that you're not feeling like you're in it. You're removed from it, so you're stepping back and watching yourself in it. And then if you're trying to diminish something like a negative emotion to do with it or whatever, you send it far away and you turn it black and white, and you mute the noise, and you basically turn it right down. If you want to amplify something, you make it brighter, louder, closer, bigger, better. And then eventually, when you get to the point where you're just buzzing with it, if it's like driving positive behavior or peak performance or something, and then you step into that you on the screen, and you kind of look around you and see what's going on and feel what you're feeling and hear what you're hearing and all that. So it's nifty, and it's a really good one to use actually if people need to be a little bit distanced from something. So if people have got really tough stuff going on, because it's slightly objective, because you're not in the picture, it's easier to kind of get that distance and get them to feel safe while doing quite deep stuff.
Yeah. And when you are spreading the tapping word, when you are out there, talking about EFT, how are you bringing that to your audience?
EFT as a whole. What I say now is I've kind of got into, because I do my morning tap and stuff, the daily tap, and that originated out of the festive countdown tap from last Christmas. What I've tended to say now is that EFT is a really good way for you to feel better really quickly. And I just put it as simply as that. So by using your own hands and focusing on your own feelings, we can disrupt any negative energies that are associated with things that you're thinking or feeling on or remembering, and we can tap it away so that you can feel better really quickly. And I keep it nice and simple now, certainly on the daily tap level, because a lot of new people are starting to come in and they don't even know what it is necessarily. And when a newbie sees something like that, I don't want to blind them with the science of it and stuff. So I just pitch it as a way to feel better, because at some point in everybody's lives, they're going to feel cack and they're going to want to feel better, right?
Absolutely. So could you put us through a little bit of, what it actually is?
Yeah.
So everybody's watching going, they're talking about this EFT stuff, and I've heard about it, but I don't really get it.
Okay.
Can you put us through? So
tapping is based on the some of the meridians that are used in traditional Chinese medicine. So along the meridians, you'll get different pressure points, which actually are underneath the skin. And the reason that they are used is because they have less impedance, less resistance. So what happens is your skin is an absolute, we know it's an organ, right? And it's got electromagnetic impulses going over it all the time about different things, sending different signals to different places. What happens when you tap is that you tap on certain pressure points, certain meridian points around the head, face, and neck, and that sends a calming signal to the amygdala. Try saying that with a mouthful of cheese sandwich. I can't put my teeth in properly. So what happens is when you're in a stress response, right, you've got a little signal. Your brain is telling you there's a risk, right, a threat of some kind. So you've got this little signal going back and forth, going, you need to run, you need to run, you need to run. Stuff's going to hit the fan.
Yeah.
What happens then is your primitive brain releases all sorts of stuff, including cortisol, adrenaline, and all these nasty toxic things that serve us in the moment when we're running away from a saber-toothed tiger, but they don't serve you when you've got trolley rage at Asda and you just want her to just put the stuff down and just get out of your way. It doesn't serve you. And because we have such a heightened society, we've got a very, very overdeveloped startle response, which means that because we've got so much excess stimuli coming in from the outside world, our startle response, our stress response just comes on like that. So we get all this stuff coursing around our system anyway, which means we're probably a little bit on edge all of the time, or we get what's called low-grade consistent stress. So anyway, when you have this thing, hey Alison, and you tap on these points, what happens is it sends a calming signal to the brain, right? So if you're tapping like this and you're feeling anxious about something, your brain's going, there's a threat, there's a threat, there's a threat. This signal here says, no, you're not. No, there isn't. It's fine. You're safe. Everything's cool. And after a little bit of time, and it's not much time, maybe between 30 and 60 seconds, the calming signal becomes stronger because the primitive brain goes, ah, okay, there wasn't a threat. That's cool. So this has soothed that signal. Also in that period of time, it releases beta endorphins and serotonin and all that good stuff, which chemically soothes you anyway. So you've got those two things working in tandem. The great other thing that is kind of sciencey, but I'm a bit naff at explaining it, but I'll give it a lash. Essentially, what happens is when you have a traumatic memory or thought or something that's bothering you on a regular basis, and I said that we see images when we think about that. When you have something like that, you'll have a memory associated with it if it's from way back when, or even if it's just from last week, right? So when you tap on these points, what happens is it actually collapses that part of the memory and the negative response and negative charge that is associated with that memory. And once you collapse that neural bundle that contains that memory, it's gone. So you can think about that thing and it doesn't re-trigger you. And that's where the magic starts to happen. Because if you can think about it, I don't know if you've got something that's pretty chilled, I know, but if you've got any stories that run in your head or things that have bothered you for ages or things that, you might have carried with you, memories from school or something like that where somebody's hurt you, if it's something that's significant and you want to let it go, that's the way to go, because you actually, you can collapse it for good, physically, scientifically, and you don't have to carry that around. It doesn't mean to say that it didn't happen. Yeah. It doesn't mean to say that whoever did whatever to you has got away with it. It doesn't mean that you don't care anymore. It doesn't mean that you're any less of a person for wanting to get rid of that and not think about it anymore. What it means is you don't have to be a slave to it. You don't have to keep having this ping, 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 ping every time you think about it, every time you talk about it, every time you tell somebody else about it, on and on and on it goes, because every single time we have that and we don't burn that cortisol off, it's toxic and it'll accumulate in organs and around the body, and it can lead to illness, So one of the great things about tapping is that, as well as all this stuff about getting rid of the negative stuff, it also has some really great, I won't say side effects, but benefits that we're just about starting to get to know about now in the last year or two. One of which is it improves your levels of, wait for this, I've got to put my teeth in, salivary immunoglobulin A, or SIG-A for short. Increases your level of SIG-A, which is a immune system biomarker, by about 60%. So what that means is the more you tap, the more your health and your immune system is increased. That's a fantastic byproduct, and that's why I like to do the daily tap, because it's a quick way to get tapping into your life for 5-10 minutes every single day and feel better. And yes, you'll feel better in the moment, but it's also a cumulative effect. So you're getting rid of all this nasty stuff in your system, and you're also raising your immune system at the same time. What's not to love?
Yeah, totally. So where are the meridian points? Okay,
so the ones we use in tapping, I normally start on the eyebrow, so it's the inside of the eyebrow there, just there. And what my rule is, if you use 2 fingers, you won't miss the point. So you just tap there. Now you can tap both sides together. You tap one side, you tap the other side. It doesn't matter, because the meridians are mirrored, and I'll show you how. So then the next point is outside of the eye. So it's literally on the corner of the eye on the occipital bone. But again, if you use 2 fingers, you won't miss it. The next one comes round underneath, and it's directly under the pupil on the occipital bone. This is actually a really good point. It's the fear point. Well, it's the stomach meridian. So that sticky kind of feeling when you're really scared about something. Tap on here and it'll go away, or it should subside. The next one is under the nose, kind of halfway between the nose and the lip. Again, if you just tap 2 fingers, you'll get it. The next one is the chin, which is the crease of the chin here. go to. I haven't seen my collarbones in a long time, and I'm kind of half reclining, so excuse the fact that I can't find them. But your collarbones, and then you drop down about an inch, I think, something like that. You'll find a notch there. Those are your collarbone points. But what I usually say is there's all sorts of other points along here as well. So just tap along there, because all of the upper half of the body meridians converge at some point across here. So if you want just a short, sharp hit, you just go across here, and they'll find it very soothing. The next one is under the arm, directly under the armpit on the bra strap. And you'll know it because it's tender more often than not. And then top of the head. So I just do at the back of the head, kind of a circle. And then there's also some others. So if we're doing a setup statement, you tap on the karate chop point first. So that's when you say, even though I'm really nervous about being interviewed tonight, I accept myself and I'm okay. Or even though I really don't want to go to work tomorrow, I'm dreading it, I accept myself in this moment, or whatever it is that feels right to you. And then there's a couple of others called the 9 gamut point, which is really good for finishing off when you're down to about 2 or 3 out of a 10 in intensity, and it just won't seem to go, and you're not sure why. You can use the 9 gamut point, and it's not originated as part of thought field therapy, which is the precursor to EFT, but it's a very powerful point. And then I think there's a sickness point, what they call the seasickness point, which is if you put your fingers on your wrist where the crease is, where your little finger lands in the sort of middle. That's your seasickness point there. And then there's one which I can't reach because I'm sat back on the inside of your ankle, 4 fingers up on the inside of your leg. And they're the sort of main ones that we use, really.
So the thing is that, when I suppose years and years and years ago, my brother was always very seasick, and he used to get them bands.
Yeah.
That had the pushy in bit.
Yeah.
And
that's the technical term. Yeah. The pushy in bits.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. And that obviously is EFT based. It's that meridian point.
That's it. I mean, it's, as I say, it's based on traditional Chinese medicine and acupressure, and it's all based on the same thing. I mean, they've been using this sort of stuff. It makes me laugh because, my mum's always the skeptic, bless her, and everything I've ever tried, she goes, "Is it a scam? It's not a scam, is it, love?" I said, "No, Mum, it's not a scam. The Chinese have been using this for 4,000 years, even for pregnant ladies. There's women in China that have had, is it China? Yeah, they've had given birth just with like clamps on their thumbs and stuff for pain. So it works.
I still don't believe you just have clamps on your thumbs.
No, and I wouldn't want to trial that. I have to be honest, but apparently it's true.
Yeah. Is there are the meridian points associated with particular feelings, or is it just choose one and go?
What I always recommend is that each point it's relative to different points in the body, and it's relevant to therefore different emotions and aspects, but a lot of them overlap. And what EFT has really done is it's taken, so where it stems from was thought field therapy, right, which was basically very, very similar, but they had like a recipe. So if you were angry, you do, for argument's sake, this, this, and this. If you were guilty, you did this, this, and this. It was very, very prescribed. Whereas Gary Craig came along and just went, that's far too complicated. Let's just make it more accessible for everybody, and let's do a whole round, which is covering all of the points, because some of them mix and match. Some of them are the same thing. So yeah, they do have an origin. They relate to a part of the body, an organ, an emotion. But it's better to get the whole lot. So I just always, if in doubt, start on the eyebrow, work your way down the face, end on the top of your head, and you just can't go wrong with that.
So when you said about this one, about a statement you were making, what's that bring to it?
So this, let me angle there. There we go. So this is called a setup statement, and the reason that we do this is because when you're it's really important with any kind of therapy, loosely term it therapy, that you get your client to the start line, right? What I mean by that is, are they actually ready to let this go? One of the things that is really important when I work with people is, are they actually ready to let this go? Because if they're not, resistance and psychological reversal will kick in, which means that your primitive brain will do anything to stop you, and there'll be all sorts of reasons that it comes up with in your brain to stop you letting it go. What this does, the karate chop point actually targets psychological reversal straight away, and that's why we start with it. So when you're saying things to, and we do this 3 times just for good measure. So when we say things like, even though I'm really anxious about whatever it is, for example, I accept myself and I'm okay. Because what you're doing there is saying exactly that. Even though I have this, I'm okay. You know, even though I feel rank today, I choose to feel safe and relaxed now. You know, even though I don't want to go to work, I'm dreading it. I choose to know that I'm okay. Whatever it is. The traditional one in America is I deeply and completely love and accept myself. A lot of people have trouble saying that. So I just try and keep it more simple, like I'm okay, you know, I choose to relax and feel safe now. And what that does is it targets any resistance straight away, drops the level of resistance so that you can then swoop in with the whole, this anger, you know, this sadness, this guilt, whatever it is, and drop it right down so they can see a tangible result really quickly. And then, you know, what surfaces. I make an analogy about it being, you know, trying to hold a load of beach balls under the water of a swimming pool. You've only got 2 hands, 2 feet. Either you're going to go upside down and arse up in the pool, or you can let one go and then they're all going to start popping up. And that's what usually happens with emotions. Like you'll start with something and somebody will go, no, I'm just angry. I'm just plain angry. You know, you get the anger out of the way and they go, I'm really sad, or whatever it is. And it's just, that's why I mean, it's really organic, you know?
And do you think that it's something that you can use even if you haven't particularly identified anything? Because, you know, you said that this is good for our immune system.
Yeah.
You know, even if you don't want to start to pick any scabs or look at anything, is the journey of actually just tapping going to help you?
Oh yeah, completely. One of the great things that I love about tapping is that you can use it. It ain't just about picking scabs and being, you know, trying to get over things that have upset us. I use it every single day in the daily tap anyway, and I use it every day in the shower, and I don't even say anything, and I don't think about anything. Why? Because the way that I look at it is this: your body knows what to do. So if you're sending signals and one of the other things that it does is it disrupts, it gets rid of what they call energy disruptions. And I don't always talk about that because sometimes it's a little bit too woo-woo when I'm first getting into it with somebody. But essentially, your energy body holds disturbances in it, and it's like static on a telly, right? So if you've collected it during the day and you've had a frustration and you've not talked about it, or you've had an argument and you've not cleared it up, there'll still be some disturbances in that energy body, right? So even if you don't talk about it, focus on it, have a feeling about it, just the very act of tapping will get rid of, disperse that static anyway. So that's a really good thing to do. Then it also does the immune boosting stuff and all that side of it, in the positive physicality side of it. But also it's really, really good for feeling good. So you don't just tap away bad stuff, you can tap in positive feelings. Now, part of the school that I learned with, if anybody wants to look her up, she's called Sylvia Hartman from the Guild of Energists, and she believes that you can tap in any kind of energy you want. So if you want to stand in the shower and tap in superhero energy, you could do that. The point is, you focus on how you want to feel, and you tap that in, and you just say more and more energy, or more and more happiness, more and more joy, whatever. However you want to do it, you can do that if you want to. One of my favourite ways of using it, though, is for things like the Louise Hay affirmations, and I include that in my U101 course. Actually, at the end of every live class, we do heal your life affirmation tapping, because it's so powerful. Because essentially, when you're doing manifesting, or you're exactly, Alison, affirmations, when you're talking about you know, I am stuff and how you want things to be, and about raising your vibration, one of the best things you can possibly do is tapping, because it'll eliminate any resistance at the same time. It gets you all relaxed and sleepy and all, you know, chilled out, and it focuses and centers you from the very physical aspect of it, of tapping on your own body. It centers you, bang, right here and now, in the moment. You're doing something, you're concentrating on that, you know, so you're very, very grounded and centered. It'll bring all your energies into the now time, and then you add affirmations to it, and it just takes it to a whole new level. It's amazing. Yeah, Alice, in my U101 class, and it's just they love it. We just all love it. Look forward to the end.
So I'm interested in this process of in what you want. Is that about you focusing purely on feeling that feeling, and then bringing it in.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way that it works is you can augment anything with tapping as well. So if you wanted to feel more peace, right, you can tap in and say, you can say anything you want. But for example, even though I'm feeling, even though I'm feeling a little bit tense right now, I choose to relax and feel peaceful now. And you do that 3 times, and then do you ground yourself first? You can do, yeah. I'll come on to that in a minute actually, because I've got a lovely little technique from Eden Energy Medicine that's really good for just setting the scene for this. But I would always start with a setup statement of just how you want to feel. So, even though whatever might be standing in the way, I choose to feel joy right now. And then I just tap in and just say, feeling full of joy, feeling even more joy, feeling all this joy in my body. I tend to use the phrase of feeling whatever in my body because it brings you back to center. You know what I mean? And it connects you, mind, body, energy, and all of that together. So yeah, you just go in and you focus on how you want to feel. And likewise, if you're trying to bring in something in the future and manifest something, future pacing is brilliant because you talk about it in the present tense as if it's what you want to happen is already happened, right? And the brain can't distinguish. So when you give it the I am statement, I am incredibly peaceful and, whatever, your brain can't tell the difference. So it starts to take on the feelings of that, and it's just magical.
Oh, that's really as a concept. I can see why you dive into it.
Oh, it's just honestly, there's nothing really that you can't do with it. It's just fantastic. Am I going to teach soon? Yeah, I am actually. Alison, I got confirmation today that my God, it's so exciting. Even though I'm so excited, I feel really, really sick. I'm okay. I'm going to start qualifying people as practitioners in November. So that's come a long, long way. And I'm really excited about that because there's so many people who want to learn. And I think there's so many people who, well, everybody deserves to be free of the chains of emotions. I struggled with it for years and years and years. You don't have to do it. It's so easy to just let stuff go. And I'm not trivializing anything because I've had my fair share of, crap that I've had to deal with. But at the end of the day, there is a way that you can let it go and reduce it and feel better. So the more that I can kind of get that out there, the more exciting it is for me. Yeah. I've gone off track there. You asked me something else and I've completely lost my thread now.
You're looking at your at this time of day and I'm not still on the same page anymore.
Bless you.
So from kind of talking here, it brings an element of mindfulness into it, doesn't it? It brings that element of being right here, right now, in this moment, at this time. It brings in an element of coaching because you look to get to the bottom of what's gone on, and it brings that therapeutic input that takes you out of that place.
Yeah.
So it's got quite a few sides to it already, hasn't it? Before you even, start to think about how you move forward even further and even further and even further with it. And, do you think that, I know that you say that you tap in the shower each day. Are you tapping in a feeling? Or are you seeing how you feel on that morning if you're like, oh, I can't be bothered with today?
Do you know, it's really, really, it's different most days. It varies. It depends how I feel. If I woke up feeling pants, then I'll tap the pants away. Not those pants. I'll tap the rubbish stuff away. You know what I mean? If I've woken up and I'm fine, I might focus. Like if I've got something to do, I'll probably tap on feeling focused and bringing some energy in. It's really, really good for getting energized. Oh, that was what I was going to do. I'll show you in a second. A really good thing that I also do for feeling energized is if you thump your, I know I look like a silverback, but if you thump your chest around the thymus, because your thymus gland is here between the ladies on the chest bone, and it's obviously it's a lymph point as well. So lymph doesn't move on its own, and it needs all the help it can get. So there's a lot of lovely exercises that you can do to start moving that around and energizing yourself. But thumping your chest is actually really just you don't have to make the noises as well, but if you thump your chest for a good minute or so, you end up feeling like I want to go out and do a run, like proper energized. Well, all right, not that far, but I'll go make a brew. That's probably about my actual status. I'm a bit far there with the running, but yeah, it is really effective. So I tend to think about how I want to feel that day, what I've got to do, if I need to get something big done, if I'm dreading it, if there's any resistance. Resistance is a biggie for me because I've studied a lot lately in the last couple of years about why we stop ourselves, why we sabotage ourselves, and how we can get past that. And it once I learned it, I was like, oh, cool. But it was a massive weight off my shoulders because all of these years I've been. So not only do we have this stuff going on with us, right? That's the one thing. So we're struggling with that anyway, and then we judge ourselves for not being able to cope. Or, I should be able to do this. I should just be able to get over it. Blah, 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 blah. So you've got all this self-judgment that comes in on top of it, which is not helpful and is also extremely toxic. So what happens is when you learn more about, the fact that it's your hindbrain that is sabotaging you, it's not actually you consciously making that choice to do so. It's like a massive weight lifts because you go, well, this is part of my programming. Actually, I can't avoid this. It's normal. Everybody has it. And then yeah, exactly. And then you just learn ways to move through it. And actually, it's the flight response that comes first. It's not even fight. Fight is when you put your warrior pants on. You get dressed up like Wonder Woman and you power through it. But the flight response comes first because that's what makes us want to run away. That's what makes us ditch the diet, not go to the gym, do whatever. Because our brain's going, hang on a minute, this isn't normal. She's been doing this for 4 days now. This is not cool. This is not what we do. We've done the other thing all this time and we didn't die. So we just stop it and get back on track with what you used to do. Get in the fridge and just eat the chocolate. Just do it.
I know what's happening.
What's that?
Spencer has sent you to throw me off course, hasn't she?
I can't say. No, not at all.
So tell us about grounding. You were saying about a really great grounding.
Yeah. So there's a really good technique that I learned from through Donna Eden. I don't know if anybody knows of her stuff. Eden energy medicine is like it's like tapping on steroids. I mean, she deals with like not just the energetic system, but like 9 different systems, and she has all these tools. Anyway, one of her things, and the ladies that are on are probably going to know this. It's called a triple warmer smoothie, and it's a physical thing that you do which traces the triple warmer meridian. And the triple warmer meridian is primarily responsible for the stress response, right? So by tracing it, you kind of dissipate anything that's kind of sitting in there. A bit like clearing your drains out, putting some Sillet Bang down the drain and clearing your drains out, which I'm only saying that tonight because we had to clear the drains out, in the kitchen. And there was chip fat from about 2 years down there from the renter from hell, which was disgusting. But you wouldn't have believed the smell. It was like burning dog hair. It was awful. Anyway, so to do a triple warmer smoothie, you take 3 fingers and you trace the skin. So you put them over your eyes and then you sweep them out to the temples. And then you drop them down, up and around the backs of your ears on your scalp. And then you go down the sides of your neck. You hang your hands on your shoulders. This is all while keeping contact with the skin if you can. Dig your fingers in. And you pull them forward, cross them over, and land on your heart center and take a nice deep breath. And that just dissipates things that are, any stress that's sitting in the triple warmer meridian and is very grounding. I prefer to do that. Yeah. So 3 fingers over your eyes.
Down.
Out to your temples. Drop down, up and around the backs of your ears on your scalp.
So as if you're tucking your hair behind your ears.
Correct. And then keep your fingers on. Drop them, trace down the sides of your neck.
Yeah.
And then go back, hang your hands on your shoulders and dig your fingers in as if you're giving yourself a shoulder rub. And then pull them forward, cross them over, and land on your heart center. And I always get a little shiver towards the end of it. Yeah. And that's energy's moving. And it's a fab way to get started. That would be great for my little clients to calm them. Yeah, perfect, Lisa. Really good. Kids love it as well because it's dead easy and they can learn it and they can do it anywhere. Yeah. So that's a really important thing. And I do say to people when we're tapping to keep you grounded as well. Do that with your feet on the floor, obviously, because when you're discharging energy into the earth for recycling and all that good stuff, it's the best thing to do. Try and uncross your legs if you've got them crossed, because it just crosses over the energies and it doesn't help. And then drink plenty of water while you're tapping, because that keeps you hydrated and grounded as well. But to be honest, the very process of tapping is very grounding, so you don't necessarily need to do anything else.
Lisa says that'd be great for my clients to calm them, so that's a good way to use it. And Lisa's still on, and you know, this one here, when you talk about this one, this is the one that my little girl uses.
Okay.
And she ends all of hers with, and I'm still a really good kid, which Lisa taught her. So even though I'm feeling a little bit stressy, I'm still a really good kid.
Oh, that's so cute. Yeah, that's lovely. That's really nice.
It's Lisa that taught her that. So there we are.
Excellent.
So, would anybody like to ask anything? Would anybody like to go through anything? Anything at all that you want to bring up, that you want to chat about? Claire says, love EFT so much. Hello, Emma's. So I know lots of people use it in lots of different ways, and I think it's really interesting that, you know, you can use it without having to feel the feeling, without having to pick the scab if you're not ready to, in a positive sense, to actually bring things in and to focus and to, you know, to stop kind of things creeping up on you.
Yeah, it's like it is definitely like a cumulative effect. One of the other things that they're finding now, apparently, like Harvard and all those good schools in America are doing the research, because they're the ones that get the funding for it. They're discovering now that it actually it increases the neural bundles. Let's put it that way. So if you, I can't even get my teeth in tonight. If you've got a telephone wire that's like this big, right, and you pass a signal across it for an hour, the same signal, it doubles in capacity. So if you apply that to a neural bundle, your brain neural pathways, what they're saying is if you pass the same signal over it, you're actually affecting in a good way, the plasticity of the brain. So you are there's loads of books about it, how to rewire your anxious brain and all that kind of stuff. That's exactly what it's doing. So the more you do this stuff, the more positive you become on a regular basis as a default setting, you know, because you're rewiring your thoughts. You are calming your system on a regular basis. If you use it with things like affirmations, then you're getting more into a positive mindset. If you use it with reframing, it's really good to use with reframing. One of the techniques that you can use is going around and questioning. So you might maybe do a round or two of I'm so angry, all this anger in my body, etc., etc. And then you might start to question it. So you could say, why am I so angry? Actually, what is the truth of the situation? You know, all he said was this. You know, maybe I've overreacted, and you can start questioning yourself. You know, if you get into it and you practice it a little bit, and that reframing is just emphasized, and you're calming yourself at the same time, and you're training your brain. So the more you do that, the more your brain is kind of formulated in a positive way by default.
That's very good. So Lisa said you do the triple warmer more than once. It's so good.
Yeah, it's awesome. I do it several times a day. If I'm having an energy slump at work, I do it. Sorry.
Right. So it's good to kind of recharge, reconnect.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's very, very powerful like that, because it just sometimes you don't realize, like, I've got a very manual job during the day, and there's a lot of typing involved and all the rest of it, and so sometimes, you know, you can get caught in your own thoughts, and that builds up, and you don't realize necessarily, because you don't particularly feel stressed, but it can still build up. So it's good to discharge it several times a day. You don't have to, but I just like the way it feels.
Ashley says, I've been watching the video and I'm feeling it helping already.
Yay, that's what we like.
Fantastic.
That's what we like. If you don't already have a look at the daily tap in the morning, you can do, because that helps as well. We use oracle cards and the affirmations that on them to just get it into people's daily lives. So you can have a look at that on my page if you wanted to.
Yeah, once we're finished, I'll tag your page in, because it doesn't let me tag it in before we go live, so it's ridiculous. I will make sure that you're tagged in there so that people can come over and check you out.
Thanks,
Just
Doc.
ask us anything, because we're nearly up. There goes another
Where
hour.
is an hour gone? Where on earth is an hour gone?
I have no idea. I don't know where today's gone.
No, I bet.
Sit here and look at how many different interviews are sat on the page. I'm like, how have you done all of those today? And then at the same time, I'm going, but I don't even know where today's gone.
Yeah.
So it's quite mad. Michelle says, I find night times really hard to not go and empty my fridge. Can you help me with a bit of a script, please, Emma?
Certainly. So what I would ask you is, what is the emotion that you tend to get before you go to the fridge? Is the one that comes up regularly?
Mm.
And then I can try and formulate a little bit of something quick.
Let's see if she's got something to come through.
But even if while we're waiting anyway, what I would say is I would identify what it is that you're feeling in that moment. A really good thing to do is say, how old am I right now? Because a lot of emotional eating is, and I'm going through this myself, right? So I'm in the process of applying this to my own life. I ain't coming down from the mountains and saying I've got it all solved, because I've still got 3 stone to lose, right? So I'll keep you posted on that. But
I know a challenge that you could get involved in.
really? Empty, lonely, sad. Okay, so for an example there, empty, lonely, and sad. So you can either ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Or how old am I right now? But let's go with an emotion, right? So I'm feeling empty, lonely, and sad. I would do a setup statement and I would say, even though I'm feeling empty, lonely, and sad right now, I accept myself and how I feel, right? Or words along those lines. Or I accept myself and I'm okay.
I'm still a really good kid.
I'm still a really good kid, right? And I do that 3 times, and then I'd say, I'm feeling really empty, really lonely and sad. It's making me want to go and pig out, or words to that effect. And again, you can't get this wrong. It's however you're feeling. So just say the words that come into your head, but just as a guide. You know, and I really don't want to do that because I know it's not serving me. But I'm feeling so empty right now. You know, I just want that food to make me feel better. And I don't know how to stop it. You know, and just start there and see what comes up. What I would always do when you start is ask yourself, how intense is that emptiness or that sadness right now? So if you gauge yourself out of 10, right, say if it's a 9 out of 10 in loneliness or sadness, and see how you feel again after a round. And after every round, just check in with yourself, because that's how you'll know. And don't overthink that. Just literally go, what is it out of 10? Because you know, your higher self knows whether you're overanalyzing it or not. You'll know. So it's just a gut reaction. And then I would go back, and for the second round, I would say, even though I've still got those cravings for that chocolate, excuse me, and I'm still feeling a bit empty and sad, I'm still a really good kid, right? And then repeat that 3 times. And then I'd say, all this remaining sadness or emptiness or whatever it is, all this remaining sadness in my body, and go round and say that same kind of thing. And just let the words flow out of you. I don't like to try and give people scripts per se, because it's about how you feel and what you think. Yeah. But use that kind of guide, and then check in again, 1 round at a time. Give yourself time to just settle after you've done it. Ask yourself, where am I? How intense is it now? You know, what am I feeling? Where am I feeling it? What does it feel like? You know, and then take it from there. You genuinely can't get this. The best thing about tapping, I think, is you can do it with words, without words. A really good technique, if you're not sure what to say, is the rant. Okay, so just start tapping. No formula, no nothing. Just use your points and go round. I can't believe I want biscuits again. I am so sick of going to the fridge and pigging out. It's always 9 o'clock at night and I'm just fed up of it. And I just wish I could stop it, and just literally let it all come out and just tap the hell out of it.
Is there any particular amount of rounds, or do you just keep going till you feel good?
Keep going until you're as low as you want to go.
And at the end of the day, if you're doing this, right, you've got no room in your hands for chocolate.
Correct. So keep going for a good hour, and then 20 to 30 minutes of inspired action to push you through that to your warrior phase, and then it's all good. I mean, I'm as guilty as the next woman for doing it. You know, I do that, but I do find it is really helping me. And there's the emotion side of it, but I also ask myself, how old am I right now? Because emotional eating is often linked to, I mean, it's another class entirely, but it's often linked to childhood memories, and actually, strangely, positive memories. So for me, it's memories of my grandma sitting and eating cheese scones on the stairs and drinking OXO, lathered in butter, you know, and that kind of gooey, spongy, yummy, cakey.
Safe feeling, isn't it?
Exactly. And it makes me feel like my grandma's got her arms around me, you know? And so for me, that's what cake is about. It's not about the fact that it's, you know, full of sugar, which is nice, yeah, but you get sick of sugar eventually. I don't get sick of my grandma having her arms around me. You know, she died when I was 9 and I never got to say goodbye. So for me, it's a very pungent, it's a very, very ever present link. So it's worth exploring that as well when you get those urges. Even if you just take that 5 minutes and get centered with yourself and maybe do a triple warmer smoothie and just go, what is it that I'm actually feeling? Right?
Yeah.
Get really honest with yourself in that moment. And even if you still go and eat the bloody whisper, who cares? At least you're starting to ask yourself the right questions and get underneath it. You know?
Yeah. And you've recognised that that's what you're doing and that you can keep working with that rather than, you know, I suppose when you haven't recognised it and you're doing it and then you get into that guilt cycle, don't you? Of, now I can't believe I've done that. I'm such a...
But and that's when it starts to get really toxic. The guilt, the self-judgment and the shame is one of them. It's, in my opinion, it is the most toxic emotion there is going. It's awful. And so if I've learned anything, I know, conscious of time, if I've learned anything from tapping, it is letting go of self-judgment. So I still mess up, you know, I still do tons of stuff I wish I didn't do. But the difference is now I don't judge myself for it, and I can let it go. And if you can do that, you're halfway there, because then you're not carrying around that extra burden on your shoulder going, no, I told you so, no, you can't do this, no, you're rubbish.
Yeah, absolutely. So what one thing would you give people as a takeaway when it comes to EFT and using EFT in your world?
Just do it. Just start tapping. Tap on anything, everything, as often as you like. You ain't going to break yourself. You can't hurt yourself. You can't get it wrong, really. Just trust yourself, right? It is so simple. You'll probably overthink it, like I still do occasionally. You'll probably overcomplicate it, and you genuinely don't need to. It's so simple. Just trust yourself and crack on.
Lisa says there's a book called Constant Cravings and Crisps Are Wanting to Be Heard, Crunch, Crunch, Crunch. So that might be a good resource for people who are emotional eaters too. Well, thank you so much for spending an hour with me this evening. It was lovely, lovely, lovely to have you. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. I will be back very, very soon with the very last one of the day. I'm going live with Trudy Core, and I think we'll probably be talking about manifesting. Good stuff.
I'll be watching that one too. Yay!
Thank you for joining us, and thank you all for being here.
Thanks, guys.